these Teslas they'll set themselves on fire. You really don't have to do anything but plug them in, to be honest with you. First of all, listen to me. If you're recalling my vehicle because the glue holding my vehicle together wasn't right, what you mean glue? It need to be steel bolts, soldered, iron. What you mean glue?
This is an Unsolicited Perspectives YouTube exclusive.
All right, sis. On the main show, I talked about how somebody that I know was complaining about Tesla protests and everything. And this was after the leaks on the signal, the war plans or attack plans. And this person thought that it was these protests on Elon were more important. So what are these protests? Protests have erupted across Tesla dealerships in the US and in Europe, targeting Elon Musk's role in the Trump administration as his leadership of the Department of Doge. Demonstrators aim to impact Tesla sales and Musk's wealth, which is largely tied to his company.
Yes.
Some of the key points in these protesters opposing Musk's leadership of Doge, which has closed government agencies, accused access sensitive data to reduce public spending. They view his actions as harmful to democratic institutions and governments. This has been a coordinated effort to target Tesla dealerships. This past Saturday, which was March the 28th, marked the first large-scale coordinated attempt to surround all 277 Tesla showrooms and service centers in the U.S. This effort is part of a Tesla takedown initiative aimed at deepening a recent decline in Tesla sales. Now, the person that brought this up to me has been talking about a bunch of bombings and attacks. There have been some bombings bombings. There's been some Molotov cocktails thrown at cars in dealerships when people weren't there. There has been some destruction of property. I do not agree with that. Let me just say, first and foremost,
I don't like this dude. I really don't like this dude. But vandalism and arson. Listen, these Teslas they'll set themselves on fire. You really don't have to do anything but plug them in, to be honest with you.
They had to call back. They had to call back these Cybertrucks because the glue wasn't right. And I'm like, what? Glue.
And first of all, listen to me. If you're recalling my vehicle because the glue holding my vehicle together wasn't right, what you mean glue? It need to be steel bolts, soldered, iron. What you mean glue? There should be no glue involved
in
my vehicle. What you mean glue? But the Tesla stock plummeting. There's been a huge recall of these ugly, I'm sorry, y'all, ugly Cybertrucks.
The Cybertrucks are ugly. Now the Tesla, I don't know why Tulsa. I keep wanting to say Tulsa. Tesla. I don't know why I want to keep saying Tesla. Now the Tesla cars, they kind of before Elon was turned into Darth Sidious. Okay,
right.
Them Tesla cars was on point. I got a friend of mine got one before all this stuff happened. You got it all the way back in 2018, 19. And I was like, man, this is like riding in the spaceship. It was really cool. It was really cool. Now these Cybertrucks, the design of it is it looked like the Batmobile from The Dark Knight Rises.
Right, like the first one. Not even like the cool Batmobile that
Batman
had
Begins.
later.
Yeah.
The first one.
No,
that first iteration of the Batmobile.
1989 Batman. They don't look like that.
No, I mean in that Batman
Begins.
Yes. That's what it looks like. It's not cool. It's not cool, you guys. It's ugly and it's big and it's ugly and it's not cool. And it's glued together.
There's some glue in it to combat some of this because there is sinking sales of Teslas. They had the showroom in front of the White House
Right. Which is just literally the most ghetto thing to happen
It's
on
more
the
ghetto
White
than
House
that
lawn.
toilet in front of your front door.
Right. This is coming from a person who had a toilet in their front yard just now.
The
I'm
toilet was
telling you.
delivered to the house, ladies and gentlemen. You didn't just have no toilet in the front yard.
Yes, but my point is that was ghetto.
Yeah, no, it was real ghetto. And he's complaining, Elon Musk is complaining about all these protests. But bro, you decided you wanted to be a part of the political process.
Yeah.
And you wanted to bring out a chainsaw to illustrate the fact that you are cutting down what you call fraud, waste, and abuse. And then saying everybody wants to attack the cuts that you're making, but nobody wants to itemize what it actually is that they disagree with, because you're not itemizing it.
You're not.
You're not saying what it actually is.
Yeah.
You're not saying this is the reason why. You're giving us a bunch of bullshit, but you're not giving us the truth. Yeah. And so, yes, you're going to get attacked. You wanted to be a public figure. You want to introduce yourself into the political realm. You wanted to cost people their job. Guess what? You're going to get some protests. You don't get to just enter in and affect other people's lives and think that people are going to just sit back and take it. That's not America. I know that you're not originally from America, but that's not America. We're not just going to...
Yeah. That might have worked in apartheid South Africa, but it's not going to work here. People are going to say something about this and they're going to protest about it. You don't have carte blanche to just go through and decimate our systems.
Mm-hmm.
No, people are going to say something about that.
I saw something interesting the other day, because there are people who bought Teslas before all this popped off, right?
Yeah.
Like my boys got a Tesla.
Yeah.
And I told him last night, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot you had a Tesla. I was like, man, you need to get that bumper sticker. So I saw a bumper sticker in front of my building. Somebody had a Tesla, and then it had Elon's name, and then that red circle with the slash to the middle to identify the fact that they bought this before all this stuff started popping off.
And they not just going to return it. Listen, the amount of money that you have to put up front to get a Tesla, they made an investment in this vehicle. So just so you know, I ain't going to get rid of it because I really put a lot of money down on this bad boy just to get it.
Right.
But just so you know, I do not support Elon. Here's his name with the little Ghostbusters.
With the Ghostbusters. That is exactly what it is. The Ghostbusters slash. It is the Ghostbusters slash. That's what it is. What we need. So I told my boy, I was like, hey man, I get that bumper sticker. Right. Because I want to go once again, that the person that brought this up to me, I was like, there aren't a whole bunch of bombings and protests and like vandalism. And I looked it up, and there is a lot in the large scale of how many protests there are. These incidents are small, but they're larger. They're a large enough number to the point where you're like, no, that's a problem.
Yeah. And
so I'm not going to sit up here and say that these things aren't happening. I did the research. They absolutely are happening. There were some incendiary devices that were found in an Austin, Texas dealership just last week. And they had to shut down and brought in a bomb squad. Like, these things shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But a lot of these coordinated protests that happened yesterday, on Saturday, they were specifically saying, look, these are non-violent protests. We don't want people out here that's going to be agitators. Don't do this.
Yeah.
We just standing out here protesting this company.
Right.
And when you do that, cool. Now, you know me, always a conspiracy theorist. If Elon was smart, he put little plants in each one of these protests to cause vandalism and destruction, because the administration has already come out and said that when they vandalize and they throw Molotov cocktails and set these cars on fire, there's domestic terrorism, which I actually agree with. And I don't like agreeing with this administration.
Yeah.
When you're doing something like that, it is domestic terrorism. But what this administration will do is start putting all protests, even the non-violent, non-incendiary protests, in this large umbrella as domestic terrorism. So if Elon was smart, he put little plants in each one of these protests to cause a ruckus. Because
Right,
we
no,
know
he didn't.
well, no,
Right, you know, he ain't bombed his own cars.
I'm not. That was kind of what I was hitting at. I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to go a roundabout way of bringing that to the fact because
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't put it past that little twerp.
not a twerp.
That's really the only way I could describe him. He is a twerp.
A twerp.
He's a little twerp. That is exactly what he is. Yes.
But look, protest.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yes.
Make sure
Have
you
a
don't
right
destroy-
to protest in
Yes.
this country.
Make sure no destruction of property. If people are out there trying to start a ruckus, because large groups, all it takes is one, just like Spike Lee and Do the Right Thing when he
Yep.
threw that trash can yelling out radio,
Yep.
and then everybody went nuts. All it takes is one.
Yeah.
All it takes is a spark before a fire erupts. You see that person, get in their face, be like, hey, we ain't doing that here. We out here doing peaceful protests. Chillax.
Yeah. But also, I don't know if the vandalism and arson and all that stuff is happening here. I know that it's happening in Germany.
Yeah, Germany. It absolutely has happened. I did the research. It absolutely has happened here as well.
Yeah, I'm of the king belief of civil disobedience. I believe that it is a powerful tool of the oppressed. So I'm all you have the right in this country, codified in our constitution, to protest. So 100% do it. But anything that would detract from your ultimate your message and your goal and your aim, like vandalism, like arson, all of these things, anything that would detract from that, just don't do it. Like you'll see from the protests with Black Lives Matter, whenever how they were villainized, even though largely those protests were peaceful. But how they were villainized. So just keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind.
Yeah.
And fight the power. We gonna fight the power that be.
Sure.
Join the conversation and follow the Unsolicited Perspectives podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio podcasts.